I want you to cast your mind back to when you were at school. And then I want you to fast forward to when you went to university or college. And then after that, I want you to fast forward to your current position or your job or wherever you are. There's one watch that remains consistent throughout that entire journey, and it's the Casio G-Shock. Today I am extremely excited because we have the iconic CasiOak, as it is called in the watch industry. And it's interesting, I know a lot of watch collectors. I love talking to watch collectors. I love talking to you guys and hearing about your watch collections. And there is one common theme in every single watch collection, and it's they have a Casio G-Shock. And I love this brand, so let's talk about it. Before we get into the specs, let's cast our mind back to 1981, when the G-Shock was technically invented, and the head of design of the G-Shock wanted to make a watch that wouldn't break. An interesting point about that is the reason the head of design wanted to make a watch that wouldn't break is that he actually, as a kid, picked up his dad's pocket watch and dropped it and smashed it. And obviously that stuck with him because he then went on to create one of the most successful lines of watches in the world. A G-Shock can only become a G-Shock if it passes the 10-10 philosophy. This philosophy is 10 bars of water resistance, that's 100 meters. It can survive a 10-meter drop and has 10 years of battery life. So all G-Shocks must have that 10-10 rule. Welcome back to Time on the Wrist at Chisholm Hunter. My name is Harrison, as always, and believe it or not, we actually forgot to intro at the start because I'm quite excited about this model. Let's get into the specs of the iconic CasiOak. The case diameter of this Casio G-Shock comes in, or Royal Oak, or whatever you want to call it, comes in at 54.5. So it is a chunkier watch, but comparison to other Casios and G-Shocks in the range, it's actually quite small. And then they've also used it in black, they've done it in black, so that kind of camouflages the size that little bit more. But I do feel that when you have a G-Shock, you want to show people that you've got a G-Shock. You want it to be big, you want it to be bulky, you want it to be that iconic G-Shock that everyone knows and loves. Believe it or not, this is actually one of the thinnest G-Shocks that you can get, and the case thickness comes in at 11.8 millimeters I would go for. So it does sit a little bit closer to the wrist, which in my lifestyle I love because I go outdoors a lot and I tend to knock my watch off of things. And also, being a Casio, its whole purpose is about shock resistance. It's about durability. So the fact that they've made it sit that little bit closer to the wrist makes sense. So we have covered a bit about the case dimensions. Let's get onto the weight of this model. So the weight of this model comes in, according to our scales, at 52 grams. So it is very, very light. And that's obviously because it's not made out of a precious metal like my Omega. And I think that's partially what Casios should be for. I mean, they're designed to sit on your wrists without you knowing, without you worrying about it. And a personal story, I do tend to ramble on this channel, is when I went traveling around South America, I actually bought a Casio. It wasn't a G-Shock, but it was a Casio, and it still works to this day. And I put it through absolute misery. I put it through every test you could possibly put a Casio through, and it was fine. And that's why I love this brand. It doesn't need to be worried about. If you lose it, you know, you buy another one. To add to that, it also goes to 200 meters of water resistance, which is probably more than you'll ever go, but it's good that it can do it. I mean, I'm not a diver, and I probably would only go in the swimming pool, but you know, it can do it. The band and the case on this model are kind of a resiny black color, and they're very durable and very flexible. So you can kind of bend this, it doesn't crack, it doesn't snap, it's very, very durable. That's the whole point in this video, is that Casio are, or G-Shocks are, so durable. It then has an octagonal bezel. Now this is why it gets compared so much to the Royal Oak. I mean, if you want to pay £99, I think it's £99.90 for a very good looking watch on the wrist that doesn't cost 60, 70, 80,000 pounds like the Royal Oak, then here's your man. The glass on this model is of course a mineral glass, and it actually, interestingly enough, sits below the bezel. And the reason that they've done this is so that when you knock the watch off of a surface, the first thing that gets knocked is actually the bezel and not the glass. It's a sneaky way to make it that little bit more durable. And actually aesthetically, like, pleasing. I mean, it looks very, very nice, very handsome, if I may say so myself. It has 4 pushers in metal on either side, but my personal favorite pusher is the top right, because when you push the top right, you get a really cute LED light that just lights up everything perfectly. Moving straight into the dial, and by the way, before anyone moves into the dial, remember that Chisholm Hunter actually stock these epic models, so if you want to pick one up, make sure you click the link below. The dial actually has really prominent hands and indices. Now, something that you could say is that the indices are that little bit difficult to read because they're kind of blacked out, but I do think that adds to the aesthetic of this watch. And you need to remember that it's £99, so you're getting a lot of watch for the £99. The hands are actually filled with Super Luminova, and let's take a look at that Super Luminova. As you can see here, the hands shine extremely bright. Now please remember that this is 99 quid. Moving quickly on from that beautiful lume to the movement and the functionality of this watch. And before I start the functionality, this watch can do pretty much everything. It's like a calculator on your wrist, which is pretty crazy. And actually that links back into the history of Casio, and they invented the first calculator to go on your wrist. By the way, I know that I just said that it's the first calculator on the wrist, but actually I meant first calculator, period. So they actually invented the first calculator. Now, obviously since 1965, when it was invented, the technology has advanced dramatically. And that's why these watches have so much technical features in them, all battery powered. The functionality of this watch includes, firstly, several alarms. You can set as many as you want. Secondly, 31 time zones. So wherever you're traveling, you can set the time zones. Thirdly, a timer, so you can actually time things. And then 1/100th of a second timer, so you can get really accurate measurement. That is just to name a few. There's actually a couple more, but we won't go into that much detail. But it just shows you how brilliant a watch this is for the money. And actually, technically speaking, this is more accurate than my Amiga that I have on at the moment, which is pretty mad. So what is the truth about the Casio G-Shock? In my opinion, the truth about the Casio G-Shock is that it revolutionized the watch industry, and dare I say, it revolutionized the watch industry more than Rolex. And let me explain. When you look at a Casio or you look at a G-Shock, every single age group in the world can buy one, can afford one, and wear one. And most importantly, normally have one in their collection. When it comes to a Rolex, the prices are so high that not many people can get into them. They might aspire to get into them, but not many people can actually make that move. I know that I physically can't make that move. So I would argue that Casio are one of the prominent figures in the watch industry, and they are fueling our watch world with their brilliant mechanical, or not mechanical, battery-powered watches. They're pretty much indestructible. They are cool without being particularly flash. They're within budget for everyone. Everybody can talk about them, everyone can have this conversation, and this is why I love Casio. So just to recap, this watch can go to 200 meters underwater. It has incredible functionality, gives 31 time zones, can be dropped from 10 meters in height and actually, in my opinion, above 10 meters. It's super shock resistant, it has mineral glass. It is incredible for 99 quid. They've revolutionized the industry, in my opinion, and I need to say, I'm gonna cap off on one thing. Thank you, Casio.